Dawn French is with us. Dawn, lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too, Mike.
Let me ask you this question. It is, where are you, by the way? Are you in Cornwall?
I'm not in Cornwall at the moment. I'm in London.
Okay. So in London at the moment, isn't it Wicked Wednesday or Wild Wednesday, or you've come out of lockdown, you're supposed to be down at Debenhams shopping or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be Debenhams for much longer, sadly. But yes, today is the day that the shops are open again and everyone's allowed to go and shop if they want to.
What's your feeling on, see, because last time you and I met was 5 years ago. It was in the boardroom of your publishers, and we could look at what a beautiful part of town. You could look out over the river there, and it seems a different London, a different place, given all that's happened this year.
Well, I think that view would still be there. I just think it would be a bit quieter at the moment. I mean, it's been a terrible time. Obviously, it's been terrible, and who knows how we've handled it or not handled it. But I think it will change us all, and I hope it will change us for the better. We've heard the birds singing, we've had less pollution, and we've all had time to stop and think about how we live our lives. So I'm praying that the reason for all of this is that we rethink, recalibrate a bit.
Do you know people with COVID?
I know a couple of people who've had it quite a long time ago. And in fact, they swear that they had it because they had all the symptoms. But this was before COVID real kind of kicked off. So those are the people I know that have had it before. But I've had loads and loads of tests because we've been back working, and you can't film without, being tested every 48 hours.
Exactly. Well, speaking of work, can I just run through some of the details I have on what you seem to have been despite COVID? Now, the Vicar of Dibley, is that done?
Yes. Yes, we have made some extra sort of mini episodes. We decided that Geraldine, during the pandemic, would be ministering to her parishioners via Zoom, really. And so they are like little mini sermons with kind of parish council meetings mixed in, and a tribute to some of our darlings that have gone on as well. So typical of Dibley, we can be funny and a little bit reflective at the same time.
What's it like to take something that's so loved and revered and bring it back to life?
It's like going into your wardrobe and getting your favourite winter coat out that you haven't worn for a long time, and it reminds you how warm it is, how well it suits you, and how well it fits you. It's like that. It just felt completely natural to be back in the dog collar.
Fantastic. Well, is it the classic thing, once you do it, everyone goes, we should do this more often, and there's the seed of a thought?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did Dibley for a very long time, and we worked with lots of much older actors. So a lot of those actors are not with us anymore. So we could never redo Dibley the same way, but there's always a way around it. There's a way to find a way through, and that's what we've done.
All right, so you've done that. What about Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? You and Jennifer back together again?
Yes. Well, Jennifer and I are never not together because we are very close friends. So, whether there's cameras there or microphones there, we're always seeing each other. But she was the first person to my house at the end of the first lockdown. And we just discussed things that we could do. And one of them was this play that had been sent to us by David Quantick, a very good writer. And so she plays an actress and I play a writer, and we're sisters. And it was good fun, very good fun.
Fantastic. So it seems that you're as busy as ever, and this is before we even get to the book, which is why we're here today. So you've had a flat-out year, is that fair?
I've had an amazing year. I mean, on top of all of that, we were one of the first people to go back into production filming with everyone in full PPE, I hasten to add, except for the actors, where we made a Christmas film called Beatrix and Roald, The Tale of the Curious Mouse, about the day that the real Roald Dahl, age 6, met the 60-year-old Beatrix Potter. And apparently that genuinely happened.
Wow.
And so a friend of mine, Abby Wilson, wrote a story that just extended that moment and talks about, what changed in their lives when they met each other. And so that we made that as well. And we did that in August, September, October. That's going to be out at Christmas on Sky. So, there's been a lot going on. I did think for a while when we first went into lockdown, blimey, as far as the arts are concerned, the theatre's shut, the cinema's shut, the arts fell off the edge of a cliff. But in fact, like everything that really matters in life, you find a way around and you get back out there and you make it, even with all the restrictions. You can't stop art happening.
Fantastic. Were you trepidatious?
I was a bit, yeah. But the fact that we'd all been tested a lot was very good. And the fact that the whole crew, 50 people, were in full PPE with, I'm talking gloves, pinnies, masks, visors.
Wow.
It was like waking up in a sort of surgical theatre. That's what it was like, after you've had an operation and all these strange aliens all around you. But people were so grateful to be back at work. And that's one of the changes that I think has happened, is that we've all realised how lucky we are to have our jobs.
Can I just say, God bless you. Now, what was it you said specifically, given I can get the quote from you, but it was something along the lines earlier this year, this whole cancel culture, comedians can't write anything funny anymore, and you just laid into them and you said it so beautifully.
Well, what I said is that we have to be careful not to police comedy, just because I think if you take the edges off comedy, it's a slippery slope, really, to nowhere good. The whole point of comedians is that they should be free to say anything they like. If you're offended by it, you can turn off. I mean, I'm not supporting any hate speech here. Yeah. Of course, we shouldn't have that. But, edgy comedians, that's what we've all loved over the years. And I may disagree with some people's opinions, but I'd fight to the death for the right for them to have them.
Did you get pushback on that when you said that?
We're living in a time where everybody gets so easily offended at everything. But, I'm 63. I don't really care too much. I know what my intentions are. I come from a place of love with everything that I try to do. And if I offend someone, I would want to know why. And I can't imagine it particularly. I can be cheeky. And that's the whole point. We should always... I wouldn't set out to offend, but I would have set out to challenge.
And that's. I just wondered why because the reason you said, you reach a certain place in life, don't you, where, you can say that and you can feel comfortable saying it, because what do you care anymore? You've got nothing left to prove, for goodness sake. You're at the top of the tree. You might not have said it if you were a young comedian starting out.
Possibly, but I would fight on their behalf without a doubt, because I would be very sad if they have to come into a world of comedy where they're so restricted that there's nothing funny left to say.
Yeah.
These are the reflectors for us. So the young comics are the people who will take the pee out of us the whole time, so that we know when we've gone too far with something, when something is ludicrous. That's the whole point. It's looking sideways at something, and we've got to defend that.
Exactly. Tell me where, because of you, this not. So 5 years between novels. So what happens?
Yes, I wrote another book instead in the meantime that wasn't fiction.
Right.
But yes, this is my first fiction in 5 years.
Do you think about stuff like that? Do you wake up and go, oh, hold on, there's a novel I haven't read? How do you balance all of that up?
No, I try not to sort of churn out fiction. This is my fourth novel. And I like to have a year or so in between them so that I can percolate the idea. And I have an idea for something, and I have to see how it sits with me, and if it's still sitting well in my head a year later, I know that I should start writing it, because you spend your year with a novel. So I want to be in a world that interests me and that piques my interest.
Did you, and which sort of leads me to my question, when you start with this idea, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's about kids who were swapped, but
no, it's not about kids who are swapped. Well, it's about a stolen baby.
Yes, but I'm saying did you have the end at the start as to where it went and where it ends up?
Okay, I knew roughly where it was going, but as I started to write it, I started to know what the end had to be. And I knew that, without giving any spoilers, that the end was going to be remarkable. And that I had to have the courage to push it all the way.
Yes.
Because this book is about sacrifice, really, and it's about issues of identity. Two very different women are giving birth on the same night as at the turn of the millennium. And they both have baby daughters. And the next morning, one of the women leaves the hospital hospital with a baby, and she has stolen the baby of the other woman. And so that's where we start. But of course, when you have a big secret like that at the center of a story, that secret is going to bubble up and it's going to catch everyone out.
Exactly.
And I'm trying to explore issues of identity and family and belonging and mighty women.
And that's why I'm asking the question. What's the trick to how far you go? What's realistic and what isn't?
Everything is realistic in my book. Everything is researched, and I know that everything in my book could happen, and in some instances has happened. I mean, there was me thinking I had a very original story about stealing the baby. I mean, I know babies have been stolen in the past, but I thought the way I was writing it was very particularly unique. And of course, the more research I did, the more I realized that it was familiar in many ways. Nothing in our world is new. It's the way that you tell it that is new. And, the way that what I wanted to do was have an unforgivable crime at the center of a novel where we have to forgive the person who's done it. That's what was my challenge as a writer.
Fantastic. What are you doing for Christmas?
We don't know yet. We're still waiting for our government to tell us exactly how many of us can get together. And then we find out whether we're going to break the rules or keep them. I'm a keeper of the rules. And so that's what I'll be doing when I find out what they are.
Fantastic. Lovely to catch up with you. Very best of luck with the television and all the work and the book and everything. And maybe we'll talk again in 5 years.
I hope so. And, some of my heart is in New Zealand. I've been several times and I really love it there. So it's a delight to be able to speak to you.